Welcome to Real 45 with Stefan and Greg Hancock. We vibe out and have real talk, so tune in and check this out. Yeah, today is a new day. Let's seize it now.
Get hyped. Talk about our careers, our family, and just life.
It's a pretty
Well, hello,
song.
people. You have your new edition of hosts this week. We got the Flying Fajita, the Mac Daddy Wilbur Hancock.
Yo,
And
Mac Daddy in the house.
We're stepping in and taking place for
Like Greg
hashtag
Hancock,
old Greg, because he's getting old, as everybody knows, and we just thought we would, give him some advice and help him out a little bit.
Spice things up a bit.
Yeah, spice it up and change it up. It's
like Fajita does here in his tacos.
Yeah. So, Greg, we would like to introduce you to the new and improved
Real 45 podcast.
How's your night going?
Right. Thanks, you guys. It's really nice. I appreciate all the love.
No worries, no worries.
And the advice, especially the hashtag old Greg.
We had to bring it up. It's just
such a rad hashtag.
no. It really fits the situation. So, about the season, a short little recap. Finished, number 5?
Number 5, you're supposed to get your 5th title, but you finished number 5. Like, what is this all about?
There's always next year.
There's always next year, but like...
Isn't that a quote? There's always next year.
Hashtag old Greg.
Well, since you guys bring this up, you're trying to like steal my light or something. I don't know what you're doing, but like this is my podcast. This is not your podcast. And you guys try to like hit the record button when I'm not around, or you just try to steal the show. I mean, Flying Fajita. Who are you? Who's the Flying Fajita?
The Flying Fajita. If you don't know who he is by now, he is made it out of Mexico. He's finally made it over to the European racing speedway scene, and he's trying to make a living doing circles, and he's loving it. Put it that way. Wilbur Hancock. He's the younger version of the Flying Fajita, but still Swedish, and he's trying to follow in both of our footsteps. And Wilbur, how did this season go for you? How did it end?
It ended on a on a high leg note. I'll say
High leg notes.
because it was a lot of high leg.
That was a pretty stiff comment.
Very stiff comment.
Yeah.
I want to be Axel Hodge is over here trying to do bigger jumps on his KX 110 than he should be approaching.
I'm sorry, we have a Magic Yanowski starter over here.
It's more of a KLX 110.
KLX.
Yeah,
Whoa.
he tried to take. You took the L out of KX out of KLX.
So
I'm sorry.
I'll explain to you what
You know what
happened.
the L means?
I'll explain to you what exactly happened. Right as I pushed my whole shot device down, I did the start. I went into the first turn, and here comes like, I don't know, Ricky Carmichael or some guy.
I think you might just stop right there.
Yeah, okay.
You pushed your whole shot device down before you hit the jump. There was something went all wrong.
No,
there.
my whole shot
Right.
device never kicked in like after the first thing. So when I like landed, the whole shot device shot up, and then like my leg broke.
There's no excuse. You made a mistake.
Face up to it.
Face up. Own up to it.
The biggest thing.
Be proud of it.
You gotta face up to your feats. You can't. Excuses. Nobody wants to hear excuses. We just want to know. Did you screw up, or did your dad just make the jump too big for the KLX?
I screwed up.
Good man.
Dude, don't you feel better now?
No.
It was just like you had to get that out.
Do you think I ever felt good about this?
You learned from it though, right?
Yeah.
You did.
Life goes
Or
on.
I mean, Dad. I mean, we bought we picked up my new motocross bike, so I don't think we really learned from it. So
Let's just cut it right there.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Real 45 podcast. This is episode number 54. I'm your real host, not these hackers. I got a couple of hackers here. Number 22, Luke Becker, calling himself the Flying Fajita.
He is a flying.
And then number
finger.
117, Wild Willie.
Mac Daddy.
Mac Daddy.
Mac Daddy Wilbur Hancock.
We have to call him the man with many names. He is what it is. So
I can be Macklemore if I want to.
you can be a lot of things if you want to. But you are Wild Willie. So here we are. Season's over. And there's so much to talk about. Wilbur, you have a lot to talk about. You've had a lot of time to think about what you want to talk about with your broken leg that you just did when your whole shot device didn't
Go as planned.
Yeah, it didn't.
I thought we were not going to talk about that.
No, well, you brought it up. You started it.
Dang it.
You guys, you hacked my podcast. Now I'm going to hack you. Hack you guys. So
Was that supposed to be a
let's-
dad joke?
Sure. Could have been. So let's sum up the year, guys. In a nutshell. Luke Becker, number 22, the Flying Fajita. What else do they call you?
I got lots of different nicknames,
Lupito.
but I'm just going to stick with that one for now. Maybe in a different podcast we can find a different one to bring up.
Oh, so the guy who's made the most appearances on the podcast.
He's expecting more.
He wants more? You're greedy.
Not greedy.
You're acting very greedy.
Not at all. Not at all.
Why don't you start your own podcast then? Don't try to steal mine.
Yeah.
Thief.
Maybe one day.
Dude,
The Mexican sporty.
you
girl.
crossed the border. Came into my territory. Then you crossed the water.
And now you're here.
Tried to steal like the Europeans' territory. Moved in on the Unoski and Raphael High clan. Fortunately, we were quick to kick him out of Sweden. We got him out of here like after a couple of months. Well, it wasn't quick, but
Phil,
he was like luggage.
just there.
Things went much more smooth when I was gone, huh?
Yeah,
much more.
he comes back for a day right before he heads back to California,
And then he just wants more.
and he just tries to steal the show again. So I mean, all my kids end up
dork.
being bad. Yeah, what a dork. Anyway, Luke.
What can I say? What can I say? The
This-
year in a nutshell. All jokes aside, we're going serious now. This season was, man, it's hard to even put in words. It was by far the biggest learning experience out of my whole life. And the last, I'd say, maybe 6 years, this has been the dream to come over here and make a living racing speedway. So to actually come over and kick it off and officially have one season under my belt feels awesome. I can't tell you how much I learned from this year and how much I gained, how many awesome people I met, and how many great people I've been surrounded by that have made this possible, because this would not have happened all on my own. So, I know I learned a lot and really looking forward for next year. And it's a bummer that this season came to an end because it really did fly by. So, it was no complaints and really looking forward to next year.
Well, it's good to hear all this. I mean, obviously, you're telling everybody here on the podcast, and I've been kind of hanging with you most of the way, except for your trips to England for rained out races.
Experience.
Put it down to experience. But
for sure.
All jokes aside, there's a reason why I come to this, and this podcast is actually part of the main reason I've asked you this. Is it all leads up to when you're here, what you're doing, how you're doing it, and it's hard to do everything by yourself, especially crossing the border. No, but coming overseas like this, leaving your family, your friends, your life, your culture, the weather, the food, you name it, you're leaving it all behind to chase something completely new and take on a new life, a new culture, new friends. I call this your new family. So don't go home and try to make your parents feel guilty, like, oh well, my new family overseas,
They do this.
they did this for me.
You guys don't.
And then Magic, he did this for me, and then Raph, he did that for me, and Oscar did this for me, and Bobo, I just love Bobo. Everybody, and if Bobo's happy,
Everybody's happy.
everybody's happy. So, but anyway, you can't do it without people around you, a good team, and that that starts at home. That starts with everything you get going. But the most important thing is sponsors, right?
Yeah,
You
no,
gotta
for
have
sure.
you gotta have sponsors, and you gotta have good people helping you, and it's you gotta respect the way it goes. You've got one particular guy who is a major contributor to your if you want to say your past with your dad, right up to helping you and getting you over here. And without a guy like that, I'm not saying it's. I mean, he believes in you, and he knows that you got something to offer, and he was willing to invest in your ability and you as a person, you as a sportsman, and you overall. And he's been. I'm trying to speak for you, but I'm speaking from the outside in because I've had the privilege of talking to this dude numerous times, and he's kind of all given me lots of information about you and how he sees you and what he wants to see, and do the best you can. He's a great kid and tells me all these great things about you, and of course you come in with high hopes, and you delivered. Everything that dude said about you has been you in a nutshell. And this is Thomas Borge.
Mr. Borge.
Mr. Borge from Borge Development. And thinking about sponsors, I mean, he's been a rad dude. And I know you look up to him as a person, probably as like a father figure as well, as a supporter, as a sponsor. I'm telling you, everything he said about you has been exactly true and then some. And I understand why he wants to support you. And he gave you the chance to come and do something like this, that you need these people, because without them, you would make it happen some way, shape, or form. You'd make it happen. But this guy stepped out of the shell and did the talking for you in the beginning, just because you're a quiet dude and you would never come out of your shell like he came out for you and said, like, you should think about this guy. You need that as a manager. You need somebody like that can talk for you. And you're definitely, you haven't upset anybody that we know of yet. And Thomas is pretty rad dude.
Yeah, no, for sure, 100%. He's the one that really made this happen, and like everything you just said, he did a lot of talking for me. And man, what can I say? He's just an all around awesome dude. I don't look at him just as a sponsor. I look at him as someone I can kind of just go to with anything for. And I will always get, and 100% me know I'm getting the best advice I could possibly get. So he is like you said, of course, a sponsor. He is a mentor. He is someone that supports me and someone I 100% trust with everything. So without him, none of this would be possible. He's the one that's made this happen. I've just been the one that actually is coming over and taking it on, but wouldn't be possible without everybody that's helping me. Greg, yourself, without Thomas, without you, none of this would be possible. I don't know when I would have made it over. I think I would have eventually made it over, but
yeah, for sure you would.
Not this early. And you guys are the one that made this happen, and couldn't be more thankful and appreciative of this. And of course, everybody else, Magic Yanowski, he gave me a place to stay for the last 2-3 months, and like another all-around great guy. And
yeah, totally. I can echo that.
Rad dude to be around and just spend time with. So it's definitely someone I've looked up to for a long time, just like I look up to you. So to be able to hang out with him is just pretty cool. And Raphael High, your mechanic, he has been another one that's helped me a lot. Oscar, Bobo, your other two mechanics, and all other sponsors I have. Your family for taking me in when I first came over, Jenny, the kids, and just everybody that's made this happen. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Dude, and then your most recent adopted brother, mechanic, driver, all around rad dude who didn't speak any English, right?
Shitsky. No, Darius.
How rad has Shipke been, dude?
Yeah, no, he's been the one that's been doing the wrenching on the bikes at almost every meeting this season. He's, like he said, he didn't speak too much of English before he started, working for me. I think our first meeting was a meeting in Denmark, and it took us about 14 hours to make it there. And he only spoke, I'd say, maybe 6 words of English: yes, no, hello, like just the most basic things. So every time I'm trying to talk to him, I have to use Google Translate and just to communicate with him. We go all the way there, and that's when I had a bad crash in first heat, first corner, and ended up having to
Blah 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 blah. We've heard that story a few times.
do
Come
the
on,
trip
wrap
all
it
the way
up.
back. But no, he's definitely another main figure in making this all happen and stepping up and helping me.
Dude, it's rad, and you go back, and this is just where you are now. So, we all have the shot. Our parents do everything they can for us from day one to get us started. They give us everything they can, and then suddenly they're watching. I know my parents now, and I understand it as a parent myself, and thinking about my kids going and doing this and doing that. But actually, handing your kid, whatever you can hand them, a couple of bucks or a hug and, an extra pair of shoes or whatever they need, and saying, good luck over there and give it your best. They've done their part, and now you're taking it to the next level and moving on. And without the support of all these people, it's tough to do it on your own. But if you're, as we've always kind of said to you, if you're open and don't go with tunnel vision, you can see so much more, and you learn a lot faster, and you can get a lot more help a lot sooner. And you've done extremely well out of it. So everybody that we've talked to about you and mentioned your name and then asked for a little bit of support have opened the doors, and not one of them has ever made a negative comment or anything like that. They've just said, he's welcome back anytime. Raph, for instance, he joined the high school, Raphael High School.
Oh, yeah.
Which is an experience for anybody at any time. And then you met up with the next grade there with Maciek and his crew, who graduated from the high school. And it's pretty impressive to see it. You haven't burned any bridges, like we said, and you've done great, man. So I think we can I would really like to do another podcast with you and really dig deep into everything from the first moment when you got here, mixing in to the crazy weather that we came over here to the most rad summer ever, which you'll never see again. So you saw it, you'll never see it again.
Dude, you're gonna want to go back next year.
Yeah. You met
Never say never.
Never say never. That's right. You hooked up with your new brothers, Wilbur, Bill, and Carl.
Oh, yeah. My Swedish bros.
Your Swedish bros. We won't call Jenny your Swedish mom because she doesn't like that. She doesn't like that at all. She doesn't want to be your Luke's mom.
Well, I don't know if that's offensive or if she's just doesn't want to own up to it yet, but she is my Swedish mom.
She probably doesn't want to do that. The fact of thinking that she had a 19-year-old kid. We won't. We'll leave that one where it's at anyway. But again, dude, we'll come back to this. But the target of this whole episode is about respect and your sponsors. And the reason why I bring it is I'm not looking for a pat on the back at all. I'm stoked because I believed in you from Thomas Borg's comments, and that guy, I've learned something from him. I look up to him myself because of I understand from other people too that are mutual friends in Cirillo that speak so highly of him and what he's done with his own life and business. Like, he's a pretty successful dude, and just very inspiring to speak to him. When he calls and I see his name show up, I feel like I got to take this call, because there's something about that dude that just makes you feel good when you talk to him, and when you hang the phone up, you feel like a winner. So I can imagine how you feel each time you hang up and you talk to him way, 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 way more than I do.
Yeah.
And but he's been rad. So we're talking about sponsors here. I actually went to the UK a week ago, met up with NGK Spark Plugs, John Money, and I had such a good time hooking up with him and all the people from NGK that have supported us over years, I should say. And again, you get to hear a little bit about them, what they think about the sport and why they sponsor us. He's done a lot for me. He's done a lot for Wilbur, I should say the company in general. And John has been our link for many, many years, and he's such a big supporter of Speedway. Absolutely loves it. So I got to do a podcast with him on a recent visit, and listen in, check it out. Tell me what you guys think. Thanks for joining us, you guys. Thanks for hacking my program. And
See you later.
see you soon. Thanks, Luke. Thanks, Wilbur.
See ya.
Peace. Well, I'm pleased to sit here with two so-called very important people in the world of racing for myself. And this is the Real 45 podcast, episode number 54, sorry. 53 was last week. That was our 1 year episode. 1 whole year of doing it. But now here we are, 1 year and 1 week away. I'm here in the UK visiting one of my great sponsors, NGK Spark Plugs. I'm sitting here with John and Mark, and I have some questions for you guys. Welcome to the Real 45 podcast. How are you?
We're great, thanks. Absolutely fine. Thanks for asking, Greg.
Am I a natural at this?
Absolutely. But we are not. No.
I have to put it like that because you guys were a little skeptic when I started this, and do I have a list of questions? And of course I don't have a list of questions. That's not how I roll. But you got all the answers, right?
Hopefully so.
Well, I'm honored that you guys, we've had a great day here. You guys invited me over to come and sit here in the corporate offices here in Hemel Hempstead in the UK. I've never been here before, and you guys have been supporting me, John, as we said, at least until 2006, going back that far at least.
At least that, yeah.
Which is pretty impressive, and I still think that it's been even further back through Morgan Hughes and those guys. Absolutely. Because they've been great ambassadors for the company and obviously for the brand and all that stuff. So I thank you for that right here in life. So
you're welcome.
And I think many of you people out there, everybody knows NGK Spark Plugs. Performance, the brand from if it's a car or a motorcycle or a truck or a tractor. I don't want to leave anything out, but you guys are part of the reason why I'm fast, part of the reason why I stay fast, and you keep me all full of the best products and make sure that I've got good product all the time. And even though maybe I haven't replaced a spark plug when I needed to, you were quick to remind me that there's more where they came from.
There is indeed.
So I thank you for that. But I mean, I wanted to have this podcast basically because we talk to riders, we talk to my family, my friends, my mechanics, but I haven't really spoken to a sponsor. And I don't just call you a sponsor because I call you a friend. Mark and I have known each other now for a
few years, yeah.
Yep, and we become friends as well. So this sponsorship, friendship, I never like to burn a bridge. I always try to build good relationships and work with people, and you're a prime example of that. So what you guys, you're obviously involved in a lot of different sports. Why Speedway? We'll start with John here because he's been around the sport for quite a while. But why Speedway, John? Why are you so fanatical about it? Because you are. You're crazy, man. You're a freak.
Well, fortunately, I had the benefit of growing up with a father that absolutely loved any kind of motorsport, particularly Speedway. And as a very young child, I used to come in from work, grab all my warm clothing and off we'd trudge to the old Perry Bar in Birmingham. And I had many a night stood there watching many famous names of Speedway riders, past and still present. So I had a genuine interest in the sport right from a very early age. And when I joined NGK way back, it was just purely by chance that someone in the office had mentioned an inquiry from a sponsored Speedway rider of some sort. I can't remember who it was way back then. And somebody said, well, I'm sure John's got some interest in Speedway. And I had a phone call to give my pennyworth of thoughts about what was being asked and requested, and basically it's just gone on from there.
Man, I mean, if we just take Cardiff, for example, many of you, hopefully a lot of you who are listening to this podcast, I know there's like millions of people who listen to this podcast now. It's crazy. But
probably at ease, thanks.
It's huge, especially after today. Man. But NGK and John and Mark, these guys have been very, very influential, and many of you know that when you come to the Grand Prix in Cardiff, it's quite often it starts on practice day and right up through race day and through the evening. You guys show up there. I've seen John's car absolutely stacked. There's no room for his wife or anybody else that wants to come with him. Stacked with NGK Hancock or Grin logoed hats. There's posters. There's NGK water. There's so many different pens and giveaways. You guys are like you're so good and so helpful and promoting not just the brand, but you're promoting me, and more importantly, you're promoting the sport. Mm-hmm. So you give so much away, and I don't think anybody in the sport does what you guys do in that manner. Monster does very, very good with their rig rides, and they give a lot of stuff away too. And I'm really, really impressed with what you guys do, and I think it's pretty, pretty advantageous. You see that white and red hat everywhere in the stadium. So, do you guys feel like you get a good kickback from that too?
Oh, definitely. I think, historically we've used our merchandise to build the brand over 40 years in the UK. Is that right, John?
Yeah.
We definitely get great exposure through our sponsorship of individual speedway riders at lower level through to Grand Prix level, the elite riders as well.
Man, that's really cool. Like, do you guys do this for lots of other sports too? I mean, I gotta say speedway right now because we're talking about it, but I mean, when it gets down to if we go into sort of car racing, you guys are involved in all sorts.
We sponsor from lawnmower racing all the way through to Formula One, and virtually every sport in between, to be honest with you, including WRC, which we mentioned earlier, and down to like low-level Ginetta type racing. We're basically involved in every sport where our product is used.
No kidding. And even Goodwood. I've been lucky to join you guys at Goodwood a number of times now too.
I think you were the first speedway rider to ride the hill. I think a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and I think we owe that to a couple of guys I'm sitting here with, right?
Well, I think John was involved. I think in making that happen.
Yeah, I think what happened there, if you remember back,
Sure.
we invited you over as a guest, and you came over with Travis.
Yep.
And was it
and his dad?
His dad, yeah, way back. And I remember walking across the green of Goodwood, walking along towards the track, and you were taking it all in. And I think you were actually quite amazed how big the actual event was at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And then when we got to the trackside, you the first thing you actually said, "Well, wouldn't it be cool if I could go up the hill on a bike?" And it really it sort of snowballed from there, didn't it? We had a few conversations. We spoke to Mark. Mark was up for that as well, and you were actually the first machine of any sort to go up Goodwood Hill with no brakes.
I remember talking about this. I know Monster was heavily involved in this in the end, but you guys had initiated it in the early days, and then it got followed up with their big presence there too.
Right. Yeah.
But like you said, the first bike with no brakes. And when we were looking at the rules and the regulations for what you had to have, and I think it actually said in there that there should be a brake of some kind.
Yeah.
So we started looking at how can we fit like a grass track style front brake.
That's right.
In the end, we didn't have any brakes.
Not at all. And not only that, I think the most alien thing of your run up that hill was when you got to the first corner, you had to actually turn right.
Yes,
which is
right,
really alien to you. Which I don't think it caught you by surprise. You knew it was coming up, but how to negotiate that was, I think, a bit of a challenge on the first run, if I remember rightly. And then getting the gearing right, I think we had to play around a little bit back at the OK Corral to actually get the thing to be hooked up properly.
The OK Corral was pretty much summed it up too, right?
That certainly was, yeah.
I remember Morgan talking about all this too. We had to find tires to put on the bike so it would be good, and I thought, this is going to be fine. The coolest part was the silencer, or the lack of a silencer.
Yeah.
That old megaphone they put on there, and that thing sounded so sweet, like the old days.
Yeah.
And then as they gave me the green light to go up the hill, and I remember thinking like, what can I do to make this exciting? You hear these cars and they take off and they go through the gears, whoop, 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 and here I am like, drop the clutch. And what am I going to do, right?
Yeah.
So I tried to do a little burnout, and then I realized as I shut the throttle off, man, I'm going pretty quick, and I got to turn right soon.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
I think if I remember rightly, I think the first run, I think you took off the actual foot peg.
Yeah.
You took the right foot peg off, and then when you actually didn't really know what to do with it without the foot peg, so we had to put it back on for the second run.
Well, also the fact that I started to get the speed wobbles because I didn't have enough place to actually stand on the footrest enough to really put the bike into a stable position, because they're like a speeder bike's like riding a piece of spaghetti on the street. There's no stability to it whatsoever. And I remember the quicker I started going up that hill, trying to go faster and faster, and suddenly I was in a sway, and the front end was going one way and the back end was going the other way, and I was like, whoa. As I shut the throttle off, it got worse, so I had to gas it again and just gradually roll the throttle off to bring it into a slower release to get control of it. I literally almost shit my excuse me. And now I just told you we do swear on this. I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say poo my pants. Sorry about that. I almost I almost soiled my shorts.
Yes. Very challenging, but I think everybody that saw it was pretty amazed. Actually, to be honest, we had a lot of feedback after the event from the guests who had attending the event, from social media after the event and everything. So
And they were still playing the footage the following year as well on the big screen at Goodwood.
Yeah.
Gosh, and it's that says a lot. That means a lot, and that's something that will always go down in history for me too. And I I don't know if I'll ever go up the hill again, but hopefully someday I will.
Maybe.
And I've met some pretty spectacular people being on your guys' stand there for the weekend, doing different things, and then visiting different areas and being up there at the top of the hill or hanging out with John McGuinness and Casey Stoner and I mean what's it Richard Petty. I mean it's crazy. You stand up there and you're surrounded by all these heroes, and you're just going like, wow, I'm hanging out with. Now I'm really rubbing shoulders. I feel pretty special.
You get some really crazy fans attend this event as well, don't you? So they're all really keen mad motorsport fans of every genre, really.
For sure.
And let's say the fact that in the past nobody's ever seen a speedway bike at Goodwood. So the fact that we had one on that bike on the stand, it was creating interest. You came down, and I think if I remember rightly, you were currently world champion at the time.
That year, yeah.
And we had queues all the way around the actual stand at the time for autographs and photography and things of that nature. So it was pretty successful, I think, for what we did at the time. Very successful.
Also, the Polaroids went down one in 2017 at Goodwood as well.
That's
I've
right.
still got mine on my fridge.
Do you really?
I do, yes.
And you know what? I think that was the first time that I saw Polaroids back on the scene.
Yes.
And since then, I've seen like the little small ones too coming even more. But that was so.
They're back in fashion, aren't they?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And the cool thing was, like, I think we had the bike on the stand 2 years in a row before, or at least 2 years before I went up the hill.
Yeah.
So there was already a lot of talk.
Yeah.
And then when I didn't go back, I remember people asking me too, how come you weren't at Goodwood this year? And so it started, the people actually started to get used to it. Yeah. And now I see Jason Doyle went up this year, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Which is cool, but we started it off.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
He was the second.
Yes,
Yeah,
we were the first.
Sorry, Jason. That wasn't a dig, man. That was just.
And of course, the 2017 is when you came over and brought Wilbur with you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was his first foray into Goodwood, and coming along with his dad, I think, on a foreign trip like that. Anyway, that's for sure.
Yeah, something of that nature.
And we'd spoken previously to that, and as you know now, we're sort of supporting Wilbur where we can, and that was the first time I think that Wilbur had been offered a mini contract. I think you could easily say, and he had his own little contract to sign, and made him feel quite important. And the relationship between ourselves, via yourself and Mark, with Wilbur is slowly building as well at this moment in time. So that was good fun to have Wilbur down there with you as well.
Yeah, I have to thank you. You took my kid from an amateur to a professional in one conversation, and I'm still dealing with it. Now nothing is good enough. Everything's got to be at the next level, thanks to John. No, he's a NGK freak now too. So whatever he does, he refers to his deal with NGK and his suit, with NGK suit, and where he's going to put his logo and how he's going to do all that. So it was really very influential how you. Yeah. Sort of gave him the time to begin with, and you guys entertained him like crazy there at the event, and it doesn't take much. You see, it starts with the kids, and they.
Of course it does. I mean, and obviously from our point of view, it's all about brand awareness and our product, and where better to start than the youngsters. Wilbur's very, very keen. He's taken a very, very large leaf out of your book in the way he conducts himself. He's an absolute credit to you and Jenny. And from our point of view, to be involved with a young guy like that's forward thinking, very social media savvy, it's a no-brainer really as far as we're concerned. And as you know, we're building up the relationship I even got to sign his cast while we were in Torren, sponsored by NGK. He allowed me to do that, and this year we've helped him out with his own Troy Lee design helmet as well, which he sort of designed himself along with his race suit from last year as well. So, you know, it's all there about building the relationship, and it's not always a one-way ticket like some sponsorship arrangements. It always appears to be one way. And this way, it's a two-way thing, and it's fluid, and it works, and it moves, and it changes through the course of the relationship, and which is something that you've instilled in him because you've worked that way yourself in all the years I've known you. You've been very easy to deal with, very fluid in the relationship, always open to suggestions and things like that. So, which is why it's worked, and hopefully will work going forward for a few more years yet. So,
absolutely,
yeah, it's all good. All good.
Absolutely, like I say, it's not just about the sponsorship or a paycheck. It's actually it becomes a relationship and a friendship, and it does start. The kids don't forget that stuff, and you see that in many different sports when the youngsters start that way and they grow with the company, and I feel like a win-win all around. So it's really cool, man. And like I say, what you guys are doing is you're very, very active in our sport, which we're grateful for. And now the more I run into Mark here too, and it's we start to see how much you guys, what ideas you have, and you're always coming to me now, and even more so now with our Hancock High deal. You guys have been really cool because you're always asking, what can we do to be involved? What can we do to help? Or how do you see us fitting into your program? And that's pretty nice when we don't have to come to you and ask for more. You know, it's like they want to be involved. How can we help? How can we be involved in this? It also makes us feel good that you believe in what we're doing. So again, it's a win-win all around. And having these opportunities are awesome. But like, Mark, your background, like you haven't been involved in Speedway for all that long.
No, I mean, to be honest with you, I'd forgotten about Speedway until I joined NGK about 3.5 years ago. I used to watch Speedway on the television when it was on terrestrial TV when I was about 10 years old, and then it moved to Eurosport, which I didn't have, so I'd forgotten about it. But then John very quickly got me back up to speed with the Speedway sport, and to be honest with you, I've become a fan. I know it's work, but I've become a fan, as have my daughter, my son, and my wife as well.
That's great.
And they love coming along to the Cardiff Grand Prix every year, handing out your the joint branded NGK and green baseball caps to the crowd, as well as the posters, etc. So yeah, I'm a fan as well. It's business, but I love watching it. I do tend to watch the races on BT Sport as well where I can't go to the other Grand Prix.
Oh, that's good. So we definitely. Again, we talk so much Speedway all the time. That's what I'm always curious. I'm like, okay, your background is not that much involved in Speedway, but you know, when you get John here too, between the two of us, we can talk Speedway for hours, you know, and then you wonder if you ever get bored of that. But you've converted.
As you found out earlier, we called it the S word, and myself and John speak most days about the S word.
The S word, I love it. I just said the S word a second ago. Yeah. Different one.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty amazing. So. Do you guys now you've seen Speedway for so many years, how it's come and go. How do you value the sport today compared to the way it was when you first got involved, for instance? So.
I think obviously, as you know, the equipment's got a lot more modern and high tech, although on the outside it looks exactly probably what it did 10, 15, 20 years ago, but you know as well as I do, those engines now are phenomenal things. Yeah. And I think where we get involved, and I think Mark probably gets the same sort of kick as I do, when we take guests, generally the guests we take along are first timers to Speedway. So we're introducing them to a sport they've probably never seen, yet alone got close to as well. And as I said, I'm fortunate I've had interest in the sport from a very early age, right back from the old uprights, 2-valve Jawas and the Westlakes and 4-valvers and all that sort of thing. So I've seen the progression of the actual bike itself and the engines and the way they're tuned, and I think as Mark found out when he graced one of your bikes a few weeks ago up at Buxton.
Not about grace, John. I didn't go over 10 miles an hour. I put it down to the conditions more than anything else.
The conditions were very restrictive, but I think I think people underestimate what you guys do. We've got to take our hats off you too, because the things that you guys can do on those machines, the sort of speeds that you're doing them, with no brakes, powered by a very volatile fuel like methanol. I think that people really do underestimate the sport, and it's only until they actually get there and they're watching at it trackside or on the infield. Like, we're very good at being able to get people onto the infield to see it a little closer. I think the sport, I think, is still underestimated, and that's why we love to get involved, because we're bringing the profile of the sport up. We're trying to promote it where we can. We're promoting the brand, but we're also promoting the sport as well.
But what I found interesting about the riding skill experience at Buxton the other week was, out of the 20 people that were taking part, I was probably the only non-biker, but lots of those guys, experienced bikers, were no better than myself, because it was so unnatural for them. Lots of them rode their bikes to the actual track, but they were going very, very slowly around the corners, as was I, because it's so alien to them.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I basically grew up on them, so it's been, it's, for me, it's just part of what I do. But when you see a very talented motocross rider, for instance, or even a road bike guy jump on a speeder bike, they suddenly puts everything back into perspective. And they're like, no, this isn't, you're not supposed to ride these. Some of the guys said, no, this is not rideable. Yeah. Literally, you can't ride this.
Yeah. Well, when you get somebody like John McGuinness, who is absolute total respect to you guys, you know John very well. And he's at Bellevue Speedway most home meetings, and he gets to as many Speedway meetings as he can. And we all know what a great rider that guy is at the TT.
He's a freak, huh?
Absolutely phenomenal.
Oh,
but
God.
When you talk to him about Speedway, he just goes, "Them guys, let them go on with it." It's just amazing. So it is a unique sport. It's a sport there the whole family can get involved and come along. From our point of view, we're bringing the brand up through all walks of the family life, from the kids to the mums, to the dads, to the granddads, the aunties, uncles, everybody's involved. So that's why it's good for us, because the brand is being exposed to every genre all the way up. So.
And that's, we've talked a lot about this today too, about everything from what the value, what you give back to the fans. And then we talked about the Grand Prix, and we talked about the promotion of the sport and the marketing and all sorts of different things, which has been fun. It's been like a workshop in itself, everything we talked about today. So it's really, really fun. And we, again, part of the reason I'm sitting here now is basically thanks to you guys making this offer to come here to see what can we do to enhance this whole experience. And I really look forward to what's going to come in 2019, because I'm sure together we can do even more, and we're super grateful for it. And I'm also here to try to see if there's any more secrets that I can get from you guys about spark plugs. So I know you help a lot of guys out there, but I get the best stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
100%.
No, I remember there was one. All joking aside, there was one guy, I don't remember who it was. There was one rider a few years ago when I was having one of those really good, crazy good runs, that said the reason why I was doing good is because I had a special spark plug from you guys.
And we didn't deny that, did we?
No, you didn't. That's right.
We didn't.
But every spark plug I get from you is special.
Absolutely.
So it's no different than anybody else's. But it's cool though. Any psychological advantage that I can get, I use.
Even the ones laid across the top of your toolbox have nothing at all to do with
it. Nobody knows that you guys just put all of them across the top there, and I do the eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and that's the one for the night. That's the one. So, But it should be fun. Some of these fun ideas and giveaways and marketing plans you guys have, it'd be fun to see what we can do next year. So definitely. I'm sure we'll come up with something good. But.
Well, we're really looking forward to, like I said, extending the relationship with yourself and Wilbur and the rest of the team that you're putting together for next year. Myself and Mark will sit down and talk about various things that we've talked about today. And that's what we want to do, is grow and go forward with you guys, support you all the way. Hopefully to another World Championship, Greg.
Amen. I can live with that.
Yeah.
On that note, I'm going to say thank you very much. We could sit here and talk all day, but we've already done all that. So thank you, John. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for this invitation, and more importantly, thank you guys for supporting me and making me faster.
No problem.
You're welcome.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Welcome to Real 45 with Stefan and Greg Hancock. We vibe out and have real talk, so tune in and check this out. Yeah, today is a new day. Let's seize it now and get hype. We talking about our careers, our family, and just life. Yeah, share my story with you. Inspiration like every day. Real 45, we gon' keep it live. I keep episodes on replay. Ayy, Real 45. Yeah, Real 45. Show them how we do it, man. Yeah.